The convoy of cars stopped. The family found themselves in a small town in upstate New York, a quaint little hamlet, small enough that most everyone knew everyone. Ilse hopped from her vehicle and addressed the assembled family. She must have passed through here. She is our sister first. Remember that if you find her. The youngest of the pack walked over to William, Corona. She was Ilse's favorite without a doubt. She had never been reborn and was in fact a new soul that wandered into the family and had been accepted as pack. If the spirit ever did decide to return some of their past members, perhaps she would make the cut in the next life.
We should search together, said the young bright-haired girl.
All right, William agreed. He was young enough that she gravitated towards him over the others, but he was an old soul himself, so it was merely a shell. Other pack members sniffed the air and started to fan out. Two officers wandered to the front desk and saw Verge seeming to be struggling with difficult people. They could see his frustration from a distance. One officer sighed audibly. "What's up?" said Officer Odell. Officer Woody cocked his head the rich elitist direction. "Who are they?" asked Odell. "Eccentric billionaires that live in a compound in the middle of nowhere. Their family's been here since as long as anyone can remember," Woody came back. "And they're a pain in the ass. I can't stand rich people. And yet you play the lottery every day. Well, I guess I'd have to hate myself if I won." Woody walked up to the scene with Officer Odell. With a toy poodle under her arm, Ilse stood before them as if she had a problem, and they should already know what it was. The third officer, Verge, who was at the front desk, was already engaged in a conversation and seemed happy to pawn this off to someone else. Woody came over to help. "What seems to be the problem?" Woody asked. "This imbecile is treating me like a common vagrant," said Ilse. "They wanted to file a missing persons on someone that A, doesn't have a legal record, and B, hasn't been missing for more than 10 hours, said Verge to fill in the other two. "I know my niece's patterns, and I know she wouldn't vanish for this long, sight unseen," Ilse said confidently. "Do you at least have a picture?" asked Officer Woody. Ilse handed Woody a picture of a Tara that looked as if it were taken much longer ago than someone her age would have been alive. But he didn't read into it, because there were many reasons that might make sense before there was a supernatural explanation for it. When Odell saw the picture, he had a noticeable look of recognition. He didn't say anything, but Ilse noticed his look. Officer Odell drove down a pleasant, quaint, forested area while listening to Public Enemy in his squad car. "I got a letter from the government the other day. I opened it and read it, and they said it was suckers." As the sun started to rise, he noticed a naked woman running into the woods. He stopped the car and did a double take, like he didn't just see what he saw, and pulled the car over. The officer took out his flashlight and looked around. He got the distinct impression he was being watched by a predator beyond his abilities to handle, because the hairs on the back of his neck stood up. "I saw you. Come on out. Did something happen to you? I'm here to help. You don't have to run from me," he said, mustering his courage. After a hefty silence, Odell saw a glimpse of a woman's foot in the high grass on the side of the road. The moment he noticed, a little naked Asian woman ran deeper into the forest. Odell gave chase and grabbed her. "Did something happen to you? Hold on, he said, with desperation and calm in his voice. The woman looked as timid as a rabbit, vulnerable because she was without clothes. Officer Odell ran back to his squad car and retrieved a blanket. Before he could place the clothes on the woman, a ball of fur and fury flew from the forest. It surprised him so utterly he had no defense. The beast put Odell's head in its mouth. It was as big as a horse, with jaws as powerful as a vice grip. Just as Odell thought it was over, the massive wolf let him up and allowed him to crawl away. Slowly, Atara transformed into her woman form right before the officer and the Asian woman's eyes. There was a subtle change in the two humans, and their looks of fear receded slowly, as if their minds rationalized what happened to make it make more sense. Officer Odell looked to Atara as if seeing her for the first time. "Are you okay, miss?" asked Odell. "Yes, I'm fine. I need you to take my friend here and get her on a bus to Michigan," said Atara, naked as the day she was born. "Michigan?" questioned the cop. Atara growled, and a part of Odell remembered what it was he was truly dealing with, but not the conscious part. Yeah, Michigan," said Odell. He shepherded the small Asian woman to his squad car. When he turned back to Atara, she was completely gone, vanished. "You know something, don't you?" Ilse accused. Odell came back with, "I looked at your picture, didn't I? If you're hiding her, there will be hell to pay," Ilse threatened without the slightest fear that she was stepping over the line. Hold on, are you threatening my officer? I'm going to have to ask you to calm down," Woody said, trying to be half a peacemaker. Lord Bristol was content to be silent the entire time, but noticed the need for a lighter touch when it began to escalate. He stepped up before the other cop did anything he'd have to take extreme action to prevent. The old fox hunter exuded an aura of menace so great the lawman instinctively felt obligated to react. His bestial presence intimidated like an apex predator. "Where did you see this girl, sir?" Lord Bristol asked in a calm but obviously intimidating manner. He helped the officer off the floor, who Ilse cowed. Woody was still rubbing his arm at her show of inhuman strength. Like all entitled rich people, Ilse leaned back into the old favorite of, "My father practically built this city, and you disrespect me?" Lord Bristol just reached into his breast pocket and started writing a check, because he knew that he was either going to accept this, or he would end up having to have to kill everyone in this building. "What is your name, sir?" the blonde elder asked politely. "Woodson Dandridge," said Woody. Bristol snapped the check free of its book with the practiced hand of a man that had to do things like this often, and flashed $25K in his face. "And you?" Lord Bristol added while looking to Odell. Odell was skeptical, as if he wasn't sure if it was right to let the money wipe away this woman's bad behavior. "And you?" Lord Bristol repeated, but more forcefully, as if he better take the money or something bad was going to happen. "Officer Odell French," Odell conceded. "Good," Bristol said in an arrogant, better had sort of way. The stately lord didn't bother filling out this check. Whether he was giving him respect for attempting to show backbone, or he was letting him choose his level of corruption, was unsure. "Now, where did you see the girl, officer?" Lord Bristol asked in a tone of deep menace. "I don't care who you are. What gives you the right?" Odell started to say, but Bristol gave Woody a look so sharp it actually interrupted him. It was as if he was conveying to his partner, he best learn the natural order or he was going to find out the hard way. "I believe I was speaking to you, Officer French," said Lord Bristol in an eerily even voice. "The manners on some people," Ilse chimed in. Odell couldn't hold back anymore. There was something animalistic, something that tapped into man's earliest fears that bubbled inside of him. "She came in and dropped off a woman who didn't speak English." "Take us to her, at once," Lord Bristol demanded. The elderly man shooed the cops forward so commandingly it was as if he had a gun on them.